Hey man, Shane here. Eugene has the most typical stance in the fitness industry.
You might find this a little bit hard to believe, but I'm not anti-steroid use. I think there are plenty of people out there who can justify the use of steroids and who might be doing it for what you could call the right reasons. So let's talk about this.
This is the same thing you'll hear from guys like Jeff Nippert and Mike Israetel.
You can do whatever you want with your own body, and I've got no problem with people who enhance.
You have plenty of YouTube videos on the benefits and what you can expect from steroids and shit like that.
I have no problem with any enhanced lifter.
Dude, I hate this take. It's like saying, oh, I have no problem with cocaine because you can do whatever you want. What the fuck? Don't you have standards or values?
The idea is that we should be free to do whatever we want with our own bodies, as long as we're doing it from a place of personal passion, instead of letting ourselves get pressured into it by other people. I think that's almost completely backwards, but I could be wrong about all of this, so maybe we can talk about it and then you can let me know what you think. Let's dive into it.
Let's start by comparing Alex Eubank, who up until very recently was a lifetime natural, with Sam Sulek. Both these guys are 23, 24 years old. They've been training for a while and they're both on steroids. Now, Alex says he's going on testosterone replacement therapy for the health benefits, which is an absolute
Sure. Health benefits of TRT. 99% of people, they can get high levels of testosterone naturally if they just optimize everything, which is not what people do. People don't optimize everything. They just jump onto TRT because they want to make gains. For example, if you have 400 nanograms per deciliter, you can increase that to 700 or 800 or 900 by optimizing your habits. For example, sleep, diet, etc. One benefit of having a healthy diet and optimizing your health is you're going to optimize your hormones, your testosterone, your androgen receptor sensitivity.
absolutely valid reason to go on testosterone. But when I watched Alex's video all about why he's going on testosterone, there are so many issues with the real reasons why he's decided to take testosterone.
I'm going to transform my physique, and all the people talking shit, saying your physique hasn't changed, bulk, whatever, I'm going to take a quarter of the amount of gear
I like the Attack on Titan hoodie, by the way.
that your favorite influencers probably taken and have a physique they could dream to have. I'm going to take it in a healthy way, and I'm going to take way less the majority of people abusing it and look better than them. And I say that in a humble way.
How much of this really can it be about your health and your own
It's still abuse. If you're taking like 150 milligrams of test a week, you're already at super physiological levels, which means that you're already abusing test. Like, it doesn't matter if it's not 200, it's still abuse. If it's above 1000 nanograms per deciliter when you test it, you're abusing steroids because it's super physiological.
personal, authentic journey when you're closing out the video saying, I'm going to show all of you guys just how jacked I can get and shut up all the doubters, all the haters, and just look incredible. You're not being authentic to yourself, you're not being authentic to the people who are following you, and that is a significant reason as to why you've decided to use steroids. Now, I totally understand and can relate to the pressures of being somebody on social media where you feel this urge to look or perform a certain way, to always be in shape. But testosterone and steroids shouldn't be the crutch that you rely on to be able to do these things when at the same time you're going out partying, you've got no structure to your diet whatsoever, you're training.
Yeah, every single time. These people that are jumping onto RT for health, they haven't even optimized. They haven't even tried. It's just some BS excuse to make more muscle. They don't really care about health.
Is all over the place. There are so many other levers that you could be pulling on with respect to your training, your nutrition, your lifestyle, to be optimizing those things to probably get away with being a lot leaner for a lot longer and feeling a lot better without having to just resort to the easy out, and I'm going to call it the easy out, of just taking testosterone.
I have a small quibble before we get to the real issue here. The problem isn't that steroids are too easy. For example, taking creatine is 1,000 times easier than taking steroids, but creatine is healthy, so there's no problem. Blending up a smoothie is easier than cooking a full meal, but smoothies are nutritious, so that's a good thing. The problem with steroids isn't that they're too easy. The problem is that they're bad for you. In fact, they're so bad for you that bodybuilders who exercise every day, eat totally clean diets, and live perfectly healthy lifestyles are in worse health than overweight couch potatoes who eat junk food all day.
Yeah, you can be overweight, eat junk food all the time, and you're probably healthier than someone abusing steroids who is lean, eating a clean diet, etc. It's insane. Like, if you look at the people that died, there were even guys that were eating a clean diet. They were only eating clean foods and they still died in their 20s or 30s because of steroid abuse. It's insane how unhealthy it is.
But let's move on and let's talk now about Sam Sulek, on the other hand, who, similar kind of age, I think he's 23 years old, and he's also using steroids, but he's somebody who, you know, I would consider to be a better candidate for steroid use. He's just doing what needs to be done as part of his process on his journey to reach his real goal, which is to be a pro bodybuilder. And the reality is, if you want to be a pro bodybuilder like he does on the Mr. Olympia stage in the IFBB, you're going to have to be using steroids.
Now we're getting to the part where I disagree more strongly. A few decades ago, back in the silver era, bodybuilding was about becoming bigger, stronger, healthier, and more athletic. Then there was the golden era, heralded by guys like Sergio Oliva and Arnold Schwarzenegger, and these guys started secretly taking new experimental drugs. This is the time of Conan the Barbarian, the Terminator, Rambo, and He-Man. But people didn't know very much about steroids yet. I'm not sure if these bodybuilders understood the downsides, and most regular people didn't.
Yeah, they didn't. And even a lot of people today that take steroids, they delude themselves into thinking that it's not actually that bad for you, or that having high testosterone is healthy. People don't really know about the detriments, and when they do know, they delude themselves into thinking that it's actually not that bad and that everyone else is brainwashed.
Didn't even know steroids existed. These guys looked unusually big and strong and masculine, and that was it. There was no scandal. Nobody knew that Arnold Schwarzenegger was taking testosterone, and Sylvester Stallone hadn't been caught smuggling growth hormone yet. It wasn't until the 1990s that the dangers became apparent and steroids became illegal. After that, there was a stigma attached to steroid use. When I was growing up in the 90s and early 2000s, superheroes had a more athletic look, like Spider-Man and Batman. It was the villains who were on steroids.
Yeah, also, they were trying to create relatable characters. That's why they, didn't take steroids. If this guy was 120 kg, people wouldn't relate to him as much. So that's another factor.
The big action heroes were guys like Keanu Reeves, Will Smith, Bruce Willis, Jackie Chan, Antonio Banderas, and Brad Pitt. None of these guys look like they use steroids. They all have physiques that the average guy can realistically achieve by living a healthy lifestyle. But while this was going on in pop culture, bodybuilders kept on getting more and more extreme, diving deeper into drug abuse. In 1996, the most famous silver era bodybuilder, Steve Reeves, wrote to Arnold Schwarzenegger.
This looks awesome, by the way. Like, I don't see how more muscle would improve his aesthetics.
Telling him that bodybuilding used to create men of substance, whereas now it creates men of substance abuse. And it's getting worse. The drugs are bleeding out of bodybuilding and becoming more popular among mainstream fitness icons. And this time, the drug abuse is out in the open. It's becoming normalized. Teenagers are looking up to guys like Sam Sulek, Mike Israetel, and Noel Dazel in the same way they used to idolize Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone. These are the modern-day movie stars, but they're more relatable and down-to-earth, and people spend far more time consuming their content, and their information is packaged to make it feel like it's about self-betterment. And the drug abuse is far more extreme, far more open, and far more accessible than it's ever been before. And the result is that teenagers are starting to seek out steroids in record numbers.
I'm actually not anti-steroids. And it's not
NPC take.
necessarily about the age. I mean, you can definitely make the case that the human brain doesn't reach full maturation until around 25 to 30 years old. You should probably wait until around that point if you were to start using steroids. But in my eyes, it's not necessarily about that. You can live your life and do whatever you want at
You can take cocaine. It's your life. You have freedom. What the fuck is this take?
whatever age you want. But it's more about, why do you want to do this? It's not going to be taking steroids because you want to get girls or you want external approval or validation or anything like that. And it's going to be more about asking yourself, what are your true intrinsic motivations?
Doesn't matter, because like if you're taking steroids, whether you want it or not, you are normalizing it. You are helping to normalize it. You're having a net negative impact. The more people take steroids, the more it becomes more normal, and the more people around them conform to them. So you're going to have a net negative impact, whether you want it or not. You're going to influence other people, even if you're not an influencer.
Motivations. What kind of person do you want to be? Because that's the kind of force that I can really tell is coming out of Sam Sulek.
Would you talk the same way about someone when it comes to cocaine? Oh, if you want to be someone that abuses cocaine, that's fine, that's intrinsic motivation. No, it's stupid. It's a stupid take.
Lives, breathes, and loves bodybuilding. He wants to be a bodybuilder and he lives his entire life around becoming that. It's not for anybody else's approval.
This doesn't make any sense to me. Sam Sulek spends hours every day videotaping his workouts and his physique, and then he uploads those videos so that millions of teenagers can watch them. I don't know what Sam is thinking on the inside, but he isn't doing this in some private, personal way that's free.
Yeah, Sam Sulek is obviously net negative. I don't care how down to earth he is. He is influencing other people to take steroids by helping to normalize it.
From external validation. He's one of the most popular fitness influencers in the world. I also think this idea of doing it for yourself is backwards. It's a natural human tendency to care about the impact you're having on other people and to care about what they think and how they see you. Most guys care about girls and they want to go on dates and get married and start a family, and they want to be a valuable part of society and they want to get the respect that comes from that. That isn't a sign that they have warped priorities. These are totally normal, healthy things for a person to want. It's the steroids that aren't normal, and it's scary that these influencers are making them feel normal.
Jesus, finally someone with a good take. What the fuck? Like, everyone is wrong on steroids. Everyone is wrong about steroids. Nobody can explain why steroids are bad. Like, this is the only time that I've seen anyone be coherent about why you shouldn't take them and why it's actually a bad idea.
But let's go back to Eugene's main claim. He's arguing that steroids are neutral, and I haven't fully figured this idea out yet, so I'm curious to hear what you think. But I think that for something to be morally neutral, then it needs to either have a neutral or non-existent effect on other people. So that raises the question, how does a personal decision, like an influencer deciding to take steroids, affect the lives of other people? There's some interesting research we can look at. The first bit of research is a famous study by Christakis and colleagues showing that when one person becomes obese, their friends are 57% more likely to also become obese, and then the friends of those friends are more likely to become obese too, suggesting that social norms are contagious within social networks. The same thing is true with positive behaviors. A follow-up study found that when one person quit smoking, it significantly increased the likelihood of their friends, family, and coworkers quitting smoking as well. And we see the same thing with steroids.
Yeah, like, people think only influencers influence. No, everyone influences. Some people have bigger platforms, but even just commenting on this YouTube video, you're influencing other people. Anything that is negative is going to multiply. Anything that is positive is going to multiply. Everything you say, you're going to make other people think about it. And you're basically changing how they behave. Everyone is influencing everyone all the time. People just don't think about it, I guess.
The more people you see using steroids, the more acceptable they seem and the more likely you are to use them.
Yep, that's why it doesn't matter if an influencer is kind or down to earth. If he's taking steroids, he is making steroids more common by normalizing them. Therefore, he's a net negative.
More people are taking steroids now than ever before. Why is that? Well, I think it's because more and more fitness influencers are opening up about their anabolic use.
But the thing is, a lot of the kids who are watching this are like younger teenagers, so they're aged 14 to 18, whatever. So
The only thing I'm concerned with, I would say, I guess the only somewhat of a drawback is that, and it's not even like Sam's fault, he's literally just doing what he loves and documents it, is that like a lot of the kids who follow him, which I know a lot of kids who follow me,
Of course it's his fault, what the fuck?
they can be like kind of manipulated pretty easy to where I'm more worried about these younger guys hopping on steroids because they look up to someone like Sam.
Of course it's easy to manipulate them. Like, the amount of people that watch these videos that are young and don't have a father figure is probably most of them. So of course, the more influencers you have taking steroids, doesn't matter how relatable or kind they are, they're going to have a net negative impact. They're going to make them more normal and common.
Again, he doesn't promote steroid usage at all. I respect him for that. But it's like these kids will see him being young, really successful, and also looking extremely swole, obviously on gear. And then they might be more tempted to like hop on gear themselves to be like the role model that they look up to.
Here's where it gets tricky. You can say that if a teenager decides to follow the guidance of a fitness influencer, then it's the kid's fault, not the influencer's fault. And that's partway true. It is the kid's fault. He's the one who made the decision. But the fitness influencer also made the decision to influence the kid. And I think it's important to point out that these influencers are making a conscious decision. They became influencers on purpose. Nobody forced Sam Sulek or Alex Eubank or Mike Israetel to become role models to millions of young men. They chose this job and they're getting all of the fame and fortune that comes along with it, but at a tremendous cost to some of the people in their audience.
Probably
Based. Dude, he's the only one that I've seen that has a good opinion when it comes to this subject.
about 5 to 20 DMs a day saying, "Thank you so much, Tuggy. You inspired me to take steroids."
If we look at just Togi, and if we only consider the small fraction of guys who are messaging him directly, then he's inspiring around 5,000 guys per year to take steroids, most of them teenagers. It's hard to tease out cause and effect, but a 2024 paper found an excess death rate of 1.7% among young steroid users. That means that Togi's influence might cause around 100 of these teenagers to die in their 20s. And that's just from one influencer in 1 year. And then there are all the other negative effects of steroids, like how they can lower your IQ, cause hair loss, prevent you from growing as tall, and shut down your natural hormone production. causing lifelong drug dependence and infertility. That's why I think taking steroids is bad, because it has a negative effect on you and also on other people, especially.
Holy base take. The people that are not primal copers, they're basically, oh, it's your life, you have freedom, because do what you want. And a lot of them are pro steroids. And then you have the primal copers. They're saying, oh, it's bad because it's unnatural. At least this guy's actually telling you a reason. At least he's explaining it. He's telling you the data. Like, finally someone that actually tackles the subject in this way. Because like everyone is just retarded. Oh, it's unnatural. Oh, it's your life, you have freedom. Like, what the fuck? All these people are retarded. They're having such stupid takes. No one can explain why steroids are bad. So yeah, this channel is pretty based. I am subscribed. It's one of my favorite channels. One of the few that I think is worth following, actually.
Especially when you're an influencer, and especially when some of your audience is made up of teenagers. The weird thing is, despite what Eugene is saying, is I feel like he might agree with me.
10 years ago, I wanted to be a bodybuilder, and all of my do's each day revolved around that. And I had that physique as a
Yeah, he looks so much better now than back then.
result. Today, I care a lot more about being a good father,
Yeah, way better. Way better now.
partner, coach, content creator, and role model within my community.
I think he looks way cooler now with a more natural physique, but he was someone who was drawn to steroids, so you have to imagine that he wanted that sort of look, and that it must have been really hard to step away from that. But he did step away from it. He stepped away from it completely. He went totally clean. He's not even on TRT. That's exactly the sort of example that makes the fitness industry better.
Yep, correct.
It inspires people to stay natural, and it also shows people who have started taking steroids that they can go back and get healthy and be incredibly successful as a natural fitness influencer. I hope this goes without saying, but I don't harbor any ill will towards Sam Sulek or Alex Eubank or any of these guys. I disagree with some of their decisions, and that's as far as it goes. Also, this is just my opinion, and I might be wrong about all of it. That's why I'm so curious to hear what you think.
Nope, everything was correct in this video.
I find it a little bit suspect that my stance is so different from so many of the other people I respect in the fitness industry. So maybe you can help me find the flaw in my argument or reassure me that I'm not crazy. Alright, that's it for now. If you liked the video, thank you. I hope you decide to subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next one.
Yeah, there's nothing I disagree with this video. Extremely based. Everyone else is wrong, or almost everyone. Nobody has a good take on steroids, and this is one of the few guys that I think actually has one. So yeah, if you take steroids, you're negatively influencing other people, and you're ruining your health. It's actually better to eat junk food all the time and be natural than to actually take steroids and have a clean diet. That's how bad steroids are. And if it's bad for you and bad for others, then it's a net negative. Therefore, you shouldn't take them. That's the real take. That's the only good take that I don't see barely anyone having. And yeah, extremely based video. I really love this channel. This guy and Hair Cafe, I think, probably my two favorites. And they both have a massive net positive impact, in my opinion. So yeah, that was it for this video. I pretty much agree with everything in the video. And I think it's a message that should be spread more, because steroids are becoming more common and people have retarded takes about it and nobody's having good takes. So yeah, don't take steroids. If you take steroids, you're a fucking idiot. And yeah, join the school community if you want, and thank you for watching.